heartbeat breaking? Do you feel that skin is shaking? Midnight rendezvous. Oh, you knew. Lips so close you can't undo. Midnight rendezvous. Oh, you knew. This ain't love, but it's something new. Velvet ropes pulling tighter each time. Whispers crawling down the back of your spine. What's your poison? I'll make it mine. Do you hear that heartbeat breaking? Do you feel that skin is shaking? Midnight rendezvous. Oh, you knew. Lips so close you can't undo. Midnight rendezvous. Oh, you knew. This ain't love, but it's something
And I cut it out. You know what? We'll be right back, guys. Stand by. I got to play the whole graphic. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, welcome to the armoring side of the podcast. Thank you. We had a wonderful time last night, myself and the lovely Duchess Belle. Or I'm sorry, it's not Belle tonight, is it? What is it?
It's Amalia. But
Duchess
you know
Amalia.
what? No one's going to know who that is.
Well, now they do. Now they do. See, because once you say it and it's on the internet, it's forever and it exists. I'm Duke Christoph. We like red fairs, and because we tend to elevate our garb and our armor and all that other stuff, then we can be whoever the hell we want to be. Welcome to the Ren Fair world, and it's one of the reasons that we spend so much time out there. It's just fun, man. You get away from it. Phones don't matter. Apps don't matter. Nothing really matters. Just go out there, have some fun, and hopefully see some drunk Viking girls taking their tops off. Yes, that's right. I said it. Belle is laughing because she knows I'm right. And the Ren Fair's after dark, man. That's where the action is.
Much to Scott's dismay, he has yet to see the Viking girls take their tops off.
I don't understand when they got to be so prudish. It's a little bit disappointing, I'll tell you that. So anyway, yeah, we're the only thing I would making this another crypto stream, of course. And by the way, we're expecting a SIGIA release tomorrow. That's the IPK, APK website's getting an update, all that other good stuff. Thank you. And it'll be in your hand as soon as it's in our hand. But one of the our goals out here, as our goals always are, is to grow the audience. Not because we are unhappy just talking to the family, the G-Tor, Siggy fan, Carla, everybody else up there. We have nothing but love for you guys. And Bingewood, I see him tuning in more and more, man. So yeah, we got nothing but love for you guys. But it's more fun if there's more chat. And to get more chat, we need more people. One of the kickers out here is that it's at least been my experience over the 7, 8, 9 years me and Bella have been out here doing this is you got to talk about what you're passionate about. And one of the things that I've been passionate about effectively half my life is armor, medieval armor. I love anything of the genre. You guys see my swords and all my other good stuff out here. I was a jouster for 10 years doing full contact jousting. I've been a mess. I broke everything. Falling off a Clydesdale hurts. I don't know if you guys have been around, but it hurt. It stings after a while. I'm too old now. There's no way I would get back in the list. It just would not happen, man, because the everybody's using teak now. They're using these teak lances, and they flex. So when it drives straight in like that, it flexes out a little bit before, and it like bullwhips you out of the saddle. Nobody's staying in. All right, nobody's staying in on a good stout hit. So I don't want to do that anymore. So I'd rather armor them and root for my favorite than actually be up there. I mean, the cool factor goes away once you hit the ground a few times and get knocked unconscious over and over. I've had 6 concussions. So what is that, Bell? CTE or something? The concussion syndrome shit. I'm sure it affects me. I'm sure there's part of it, man. And that's wearing helmets. That's wearing helmets like that. I ended up finishing my last couple of years. I was wearing a helmet called a frog's mouth. Now I have one sitting over there. I'm not showing it tonight, but I'll show you an actual frog's mouth helm. And this thing is made out of 12 gauge, 1050 medium carbon steel, hardened to 44 HRCs. It is heavy. It is indestructible. It literally bolts onto my breast and back plate. So when you put that thing on, and all it has is a single slit up top. So when when we spur in and we lower down, I have to lower my head down like this, and I'm looking out of this hole. And just before impact, you straighten up. But it basically turns the breastplate and the helmet into a single piece. So when you take those big shots to the head, if you get any headhunters out there, you don't eat all of it. The armor disperses a lot of the energy. You're still flying. Don't get me wrong. You're still leaving that saddle. But when you land, it's not so bad. So I'm not showing that piece tonight, but we'll get to that if there's any interest in this. But I've been armoring forever and ever. And the reason that we never really spun up a how-to channel or what we do or why we do it is because, 15 years ago, I was really afraid of the internet experts. I didn't want to have a go at it. And I know if I talk about any piece of armor that I've made, and everything that you're going to see here tonight are pieces that I crafted. But every single time you do something like that, you get an army of experts that are going to be out there telling you every single thing that you did wrong and why it was wrong and how it was wrong. And they're going to be referencing a treatise that was written 600 years ago that I never read. And I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So we kind of stayed away from it. I'm at the point in my life now where I really don't care. So if people want to critique my work, critique my work. All right, let me see yours. There are many, many armor smiths that do this much better than I do. I mean, much better than I do. They have dedicated their entire lives to this. And for me, it's always been a hobby. It's been a passionate hobby, but it's been a hobby. I didn't apprentice under anybody. There's not a lot of armor smiths out there that you can, show up and, hey, man, show me how to do this, and I'll do planishing for you. There's just not a lot of them. And I don't think there's any in Des Moines, Iowa, Bell. I think I'm it. So for the Midwest armor, I'm it. All right, Smiling Orc Armory. There is no other place. You can see us on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, that's how old this thing was. I'm gonna give it another round of applause. But over the years and years of me doing this, I really did start to dial in the craft and figure out what I like. And what I personally like to make is mid-century, mid 15th century, which is more or less the transitional period, into the high period, which would have been late 15th century, and then into the spilling into the 16th century, where you start to get more into the Maximilian and munition type grade. It was a really, really interesting place. Gunpowder started to see the field. And when gunpowder started to show up on the battlefield, everything changed. One of the things, I got a cough. and I'm going to show you guys some armor here. I got the whole thing is set up. But let's all start with a simple premise that we always seem to tap dance around when it comes to armor. The number one thing, and anytime that I've had clients, because I did this full time for about 3 years, all I did was make armor and sell armor. But one of the most important things, and the very first question that you have to ask somebody is, what are you armoring against? Now, this is very important. This is absolutely critical. What are you trying to protect yourself from? Because when you can answer that question, it's very, very easy to design the armor that you're going to need to defend against this one particular thing. Now, back in the day, 11th, let's just call it the dark period, after the Romans and all that other stuff, after the collapse of the Roman Empire up to about, 11th century or something, before people started to get their shit together again. It was mostly one-handed weapons. It was mostly swords. The Vikings went up there. They managed to pull off spring steel back in about 700 AD. It was accidental, but they did do it. And so it was mostly one-handed weapons. And let me see if I have a sword. I don't have a single one-handed sword over here, Bill. I have to get them from the other rack. But when you're armoring against a one-handed type sword, there's only going to be so much impact from it. And the whole idea behind armoring is to keep the blade out of your heart, to keep the arrows out of your heart, to keep it off from you. That's it. It wasn't exactly supposed to be stylish. It wasn't supposed to be impressive. It was supposed to keep you alive. And if you start everything from that premise, then everything that I'm going to be talking about here is going to give you a lot more clarity. We're going to get into a little bit of the science of it. I have no problem doing that because that's kind of my thing. But you kind of got to start from there. So for our discussion today, what we're going to be looking at are pieces that would have been from the transitional to the High Gothic period. That would have been around 1440 up to around 1490. Those are all the pieces that we're going to be discussing right here. So I'm going to leave it up to Bell. Bell, I got a fine Italian leg. I have a German case greave. I have some Persian bazabands. I have a High Gothic breastplate. And I have German mitten gauntlets, or finger gauntlets. I have Italian mitten gauntlets. And I have a Maximilian gauntlet. What would we like to start with?
You know what? Let's go with the Italian mitten gauntlets.
Okay, Italian mitten gauntlets. And these actually get kind of interesting. So, once again, it begs the question, what are you protecting against? Now, when he started to get into the later period, that is, when he started to get into the later, I'm putting it on right now. When he started to get into the later high period, weaponry got heavy. And weaponry got heavier because armor got better. And anytime armor gets better, weaponry gets better. This has been universally true as long as humans have been clubbing each other over the heads. As you find a way to defend against this club, they will go and find a better club. Now, back in the day, this right here happens to be, this is kind of, this would have been considered an export piece. Now, I made this from two-dimensional image, and I made it incorrectly. So even though it does work, it does move, it does function, I made it incorrectly. This was a little bit earlier in my armoring career, but let me show you one of the big things. So finger gauntlets versus what would be considered mitten gauntlets. Now, one of the big misses in this, and you can actually see that big miss that I made right here. That was actually the big miss on this. Hands are incredibly difficult to protect. Incredibly. There are how many bones are in the hand, in between fingers, thumbs, joints, wrists, all that other stuff. It is a crazy amount. There's a crazy amount of action that goes on right over here, and it is incredibly difficult to protect it. So back in the day, 1100s, 1200s, they would have basically done these kind of chain mittens that we're starting to see the field of battle. I've never touched one. I've never held it. I have no idea. I'm just saying that I've seen them in images and wood cuttings and illustrations from the time, so I believe that they did exist. But the only thing that something like that would protect you against would be a slashing attack. So like the one-handed swords, the things we were talking about that you're going to be defending yourself against. Will it stand up to a spear? If it's well-made mail, and we'll let Bella will get in and tell you the difference between proper mail and the stuff you see in movies. Will it stand up to a spear? Could. I mean, could. Not gonna. There is no absolutes in armor and combat, but maybe it could. But as more and more heavy weaponry started to show up, these are the large two-handed swords. These are pole arms. These are lucerne hammers. You needed something that would be able to kind of absorb the blow. And that's when you started to see these types of pieces come out. These are the most expensive thing I will ever make for you. It has to be 100% custom. I basically need an impression of your hand so that I can build around it. That's how specific these things have to be if you want them to function correctly. But one of the big things, and in this case was the miss, is I did not make these come down far enough to cover a little bit more of the hand. You can see right there that it's mostly there, but it's not all the way there. The idea behind that is that if you are wrapping your hand around the hilt of your weapon, like thusly, that if you take a shot to the top, that the plates themselves will ground out against the haft of the weapon. And in this case, that doesn't happen. You can see that right here, that my skin is clearly exposed right over there. So if I took a big power shot right there, it's still going to shatter the hand. It's going to shatter the bones underneath the hand. You don't have to get through the armor if you destroy the muscle and the bone underneath it, because at that point, the gauntlets held up fine, but my hand is just, mashed into a putty. So this one was actually a pretty big miss on my part, but it will give you the idea of what they were doing and illustrating my point of what we are armoring against. And in this case, it would have been heavier weaponry. And again, if you're holding something like this, and this is very old flammers, if you're holding something like this, you have to assume that there's probably some on the other side that are going to be heading your way. So you're going to want to protect your hands. Now, as an armored fighter, and I've been doing that for 20 years, and we're being full armor, we go for the thumbs a lot. That's probably one of the vulnerable portions on any human, is right there in the thumb. And when you're holding a weapon like that and you're locked in on that weapon, that's a spot we're going for. More than anything else, that's where I'm going for. We have yet, or at least I haven't, found an effective way to armor a thumb. So if you can get your weapon in there, get it locked up, and just slam the crossguard right there on the top of the hand, and you catch that portion right there. I mean, I can literally feel this hitting inside of my hand right now, and I'm just hitting it with a bare hand. So if you slam it down with a strong crossguard on not this one. This one is a decorative crossguard. This is bronze. I just think it was cool. We bought it. I didn't make this one. We bought this over in, it was Phoenix. What about?
It was
Yeah, yeah.
Phoenix. Yep.
I just thought it looked cool as hell. This is an accurate weapon. This did exist. It is unwieldy. It is so tip heavy that I can barely hold it up. And I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And it's effectively a bastard sword, because it would have been a two-handed weapon. No one's swinging this one-handed. It's just not going to happen. And the blade itself, right here, it's not sharpened, because there would have been no point in sharpening it. This was a farmer's instrument that they managed to turn into a can opener. That's it. That's what this is. It's a can opener. So this thing actually came out right around 1200 AD, and most people at the time were still wearing mail. They were not wearing a lot of plate armor yet, and plate armor actually started from the feet and worked its way up. I'll explain why. But this right here, even the best mail in the world, Bell, I don't care how well you make it, that little tip right there, I'm going to rip right through it. I mean, I'm going to pound that stuff. And with a good shoulder
Well, it's
hit.
called physics.
It is. There's a lot of weight. I've personally swung this weapon and got the tip clocked at a little over 200 miles an hour with a good swing. A Scottish Claymore, you can get it up to about 280. But, you're also talking about an extra 1.5 feet on the end of that blade. But
Ooh.
that much weight, tacking 200 miles an hour, I really don't care what you're wearing. It's going to sting. That's what I'm saying, is it's going to sting a little bit. But, yeah, and again, that's the Italians more or less did this. Now, the kind of cool thing about this style is it's not exactly one size fits all, but one size will fit most. And although I like to believe that anybody who was wearing any kind of heavy armor like this would have had it all custom made. Custom making armor back in that time was incredibly expensive. It wasn't, not everyone, there's only so many armorers, and a lot more people go into battle than there are people making armor for them. But yeah, it was also very, very cost prohibitive. I can make it for you at a reasonable price because your life doesn't depend on it, and I'm in no hurry to get it done. So, but yeah, if you want it right now and the best that there is, it's gonna cost you. You want it quick and cheap, and yeah, that's not gonna happen. So, I'd like to believe, don't know if I'm right, and I'm sure I'll get some internet expert that may watch this and say, "Fuck, that guy's wrong about everything," and I very well could be, but as an armor smith myself, I always have what we call one size fits most pieces sitting around. And those are the ones that we were either experimenting on when we made them, trying to figure it out. There is no one way to do this. Or it came out not quite right or not quite right for the person that was paying for it, so we leave it. But we're not going to throw them away. If they still function, maybe it'll fit somebody someday, and off you go. So I like to believe it for some pieces like that. So there you go. Belle, real quick before I press on, any questions about the Italian mitten gauntlets? Should I get a little bit more into it? I'm more than happy to.
Oh, there is a question, but we've also had a gauntlet literally thrown down by someone you know very well.
Yeah, bring it.
Time Slayer, I can swing it one-handed, just you watch.
Okay. Let me I guess let me rephrase. Thank you for correcting me, Time Slayer. Can you swing it one-handed with any kind of force, any kind of accuracy, using the weapon the way that the weapon was designed to be used? And if you're willing to do that, may I swing back with an actual designed one-handed weapon? Now, if you're willing to take that, sure, let's swing away. Belle, it wasn't designed for that. I don't care how big you are. It wasn't designed for that. That thing is so ungodly tip heavy. Anyway, carry on.
Time Slayer, maybe you shouldn't step in it. So anyway, Sigia fan, when did Scott make his first piece of armor or sword? What age?
Oh my God. It was about 30 years ago. So I would have been 24 years old, fresh out of the Navy, working as a bowling alley mechanic. I was looking for a job that had absolutely no real responsibility. Oh, and I'm going to sidebar this for a second real quick. So, yeah, I spent a year and a half working as a bowling alley mechanic at Tacoma Lanes in Federal Way, Washington. And I worked on the Brunswick machines. No experience whatsoever. I'm an electronics, X-ray kind of guy. So going from there strictly to the mechanical, it was a little different. But it turns out now that particular skill set that I still have, because I can still service these machines, is worth about $120,000 a year now, because nobody knows how to fix them. Nobody knows how to fix these machines anymore. So if you want an actual legitimate bowling alley mechanic that will keep your house open so that you can earn revenue, it's going to cost you about $120,000 a year now for a head mechanic. So it's a funny thing. Anyway, I know that answered the question. 24 years old. And anything else, or do we press on? Got a lot to get to. You're muted.
So I am going to say, you were talking about the helm you wore jousting earlier.
Oh, Frog's Mouth?
There's a scene in A Knight's Tale where they talk about, okay, a slit in a helmet's visor, is narrow, but splinters can still penetrate. Most knights will raise their chin at the last instant. You lose sight of your opponent, but you protect your eyes.
Yes.
Well, that's very, very true. So there is some things you can learn from movies.
Yeah, and in this case, when I'm actually seated correct, when I'm actually forward, up, seated correct in my saddle, and I lift my shoulders back and my head up, there ain't no splinter going through that thing. All right, it's just not gonna happen, guys. Like I said, man, next show we'll break it out. We'll show you the helmet. I don't want to put it on. I need help, but I'll get my kid out here and help me put this fucking thing on. And I'm talking, I got a muffler, a coif, then mail, and then that. The mail is not necessary. I wear it for the weight.
Wow.
What?
It's a coif.
It's a coif. All right, it's fucking coif. Yeah, but I wear it's a coif. Sure. This is why I don't do armor shows. Look at that already. Someone's having to go at me.
Hey, you're talking a piece of mail. I know the
I
pronunciation
am, and
there.
I have one of your pieces of mail down here. We can talk about that. But I wear it for the weight. It's physics, and when you're getting slammed, when you have 70 miles an hour closure, because we're crossing at each other at about 30 miles an hour, or about 30, 35 miles an hour, depending on your steed. I rode a dumbass Clydesdale named Eli. He was a good boy. Eli's a good boy. But when you're closing in at that fast, it's simply physics and math at that point. I'm going to get hit with this much impact. I need this much weight on me to try to, disperse that energy. So I would wear a male coif with my pinky in the air belt. Is that better? I would wear a
Yes,
male
that's
coif.
much better.
I had a muffler. Had a muffler, my padding, and then a coif, and then that. But it was all for the weight, because more weight up there is kind of a better thing. All right. So anyway, if we got nothing else, let's push on real quick.
Sith Lord, I better click on a live video one day with Scott in full armor looking menacingly into the camera. You won't, Sith Lord, you won't be able to see the look on his face if he's in full armor.
No, but if I did do a tournament, and it is out there on YouTube, and if you look around real close, you're going to see a guy that looks incredibly elegant in a double knockout, because I knocked him out, he knocked me out, wearing my frog's mouth. And not only did I get unseated, but I flew out. I flew out of the saddle. I got knocked out when I landed. Even with all that weight, I landed right on my head, and I got knocked out. And poor Eli, he stopped my hand, but he stopped my manifer. I got a manifer over there too. I'll show you guys that thing. It's a very custom piece, only made for armoring or for jousting, and it covers you from elbow all the way down over the top of your hand. So it's your rain hand. So you just hold it right up against yourself, and you want the plate to ground up against the breastplate. So if you take a shot there, the manifer will protect you. But when you get knocked unconscious and you let go of the reins and you're flying out of the saddle, you land where you land. But yeah, he did actually stomp me on my manifer and buried it. It actually buried it, but my hand survived. I can still wave bye-bye as I was getting in the ambulance and going away. All right. So German finger gauntlets, and yes, I know that these things are a little bit big, but again, what are you armoring against? Now, in this case, when I'm wearing these right here, it's kind of the same idea, but I'm not expecting to face any kind of real brutal heavy weaponry, and it might be nice to have my fingers a little bit. So the idea of that is, again, when you're doing full armored combat, there's a lot more grappling than what you see in the movies. We're not swinging weapons that much because there's really my weapon is not going to go through full plate. It's just not. His is not going to go through mine. Mine's not going to go through his. And we're not going to waste energy on body blows and stuff like that, because it's a waste of time. You're going for the head to ring their bell. That's it. I'm not going through the helmet either, but we're going through the head to try to ring their bell. And most of it is with pommel strikes more than anything else, because even unless you're carrying something like this flamberge up here, you're not going to hit with enough impact to really do anything. And the one-handed sword, and I'll pull out a couple of those if you guys want, it's really not going to do enough to any kind of real helmet. Anybody who's armored correctly, it's not going to do them. It'll ring your ears a little bit, but it's not going to ring your bell. And ringing your bell is what we're trying to do. This flamberge here, yeah, that'll ring your bell. That thing, even the tip cracking in there, man, you're going to get, falling down. So when you need the finger dexterity that I still have to be able to grab a hold of, lock in, or get my hand inside of their breastplate over here so that I can take them for a ride, that's where these things come into a lot of advantage. Now, even though you could see that they are pretty well plated over here, and this is great, it'll stand up to a sword slash, it'll stand up to a sword thrust, but it will not stand up to like a pommel strike or anything like that, because there's no way for the plates to ground out. You want them grounded out against the butt of the weapon, whether you're holding a spear, a sword, hammer, axe, lucerne hammer, it doesn't really matter. But you want these plates to ground out against it so that they disperse the energy when you take the shot. You can't really do it with these. So, again, it goes back to our premise, what are we armoring against? So in any kind of single one-on-one combat, I'm always going to wear finger gauntlets. Always going to wear finger gauntlets because I have a pretty good idea where the shot is coming from. I could see you. You're right there. Sith Lord, you're on the other side of me. All right. I know generally which direction the attack is going to come from, so I can protect against that. In melees or scrums, you have no idea. So in that case, I'm going to be wearing the mitten gauntlets as opposed to the finger gauntlets because I'll give up the dexterity for the protection. Because I find that, and I've been through a lot of these, is that if I'm still upright, I'm a lot more of a threat than if I'm walking off the field with half my fingers broken. So that's it. They do have good dexterity. These have great dexterity, and you can swing. You can. I should just leave this out, huh, Bill? You can hold heavy weaponry with it quite good, and it does give you an impressive look. I mean, any way you see it, I'm sorry, that just looks cool as hell. And these are great, but there really is no protection here. So if I was to take an axe hit or a hammer hit or even a really good stout sword hit right here, it is going to pulverize my fingers underneath these. I mean, they're just not, that's it. That one shot, sword falls to the ground because my fingers are broken, and that's kind of it. So again, what are you armoring against, and what's the point? What are you doing this for? In any kind of one-on-one scenario, just because I've been doing it for 25 years, I know which direction the attack's coming from. I'm not saying I win them all because I don't. Nobody does. But I am much more likely to determine where the shot is coming from this direction. Now, the other neat thing, and I didn't really talk about these, is these right here. If you guys see these right here. Now, these are called gadlings. This one is kind of a low res. I didn't want to make them too aggressive, but these little things right over here, up and down here, these are called gadlings, and these are the things that'll allow you to punch through a brick. They're actually anchored on 3 different parts off from these plates, and you can see that they'll move up and down just fine, giving you your flexibility. But when you actually fist up and you're throwing that shot, look at where landing with this. Look at where that shot is coming from. So I've always kind of deemed them peasant killers. If you're hitting an unarmored person with this, you're Iron Man. I'm sorry, man. Look, you are Iron Man effectively in this. I will punch through bricks with these things, and I won't even feel it. Because if it is properly built and properly designed and properly fitted, these gadlings sit a good ½ inch above my knuckles. All right, no part of this is touching my skin even close. It is literally protected by the heavy plates that are protected or that are layered up and spaced and even across the back of my hand. These are the things that get busted up. And anybody who's ever fought knows you hurt your knuckles, you hurt your fingers, and all that other good stuff. That ain't going to happen with this. All right, it's just not going to happen. So these are also a very, very important element of gauntlet design are the gadlings. Now, my personal ones, I'm not going to show them, Belle, because mine are considered evil accoutrements of armor, because I use what are called really aggressive pyramid gadlings, and my gadlings actually sit up about that high, about that much higher. So when I roll over, it basically creates a old weapon called I think it was called a casta. Back from the Roman days. So when I actually roll out, the points are straight off the end of my knuckle. If you're making any kind of contact, they're brass knuckles with points on the end of them. Those are considered evil accoutrements of armor. No really noble, upwardly mobile, noble type of knight would wear something like that. But I've been, the whole time we were doing the Ren Fair circuit, I was always the Dark Knight. I was a bad guy. I can wear whatever hell I want because I was the bad guy. So, yeah, a lot of plates, a lot of interconnectedness. I made this a long time ago. It was not correctly designed. I'll show you a correctly designed one. And the fact that I didn't know what slotted rivets were or what it meant or why I would need them. Now, you can see if I hold this all the way down and I'm forcing my hand as far left and as far right as I can, that I'm not getting a lot of movement up there. that means that this is a poorly made gauntlet. Now, I made it. I'll own it. It was early in my career, and I didn't know what I was doing. But this is an incorrectly made gauntlet in the fact that these things are not slotted. Any other time and any other piece that has my mark on it, you're going to see nice little, wherever the rivet points are, you're going to see a slot that I have to file out by hand. So instead of a single hole for the rivet, there's a sideways slot for the rivet. So we put it in, washer on the other side, peen it down, and then that rivet allows that plate to slide back and forth just a little bit. And just a little bit from here to here to here is really all you need to be able to have full wrist movement back and forth while wearing this type of armor. It doesn't give up a lot of strength. Well, I mean, anytime you take metal off from something, Bell, you're going to give up some strength. But it doesn't really kill you too much structural integrity of the gauntlet. And it gives you so much more mobility is that it only makes sense to do that. So any of the actual existing period pieces that I've ever seen up nice and close were all slotted. So there's got to be a reason that everybody was slotting them. So I started slotting them, and as soon as I started doing that, I realized I'm not, two things, Bell. One, I'm not charging enough because that takes forever. You're hand filing these things. You're not going to Dremel tool 1050. All right, you're just not gonna. You're using rat tail files and or jeweler's files or making Bell do it. And yeah, it was a terrible pain in the ass. So that's why I charge so much. And we'll get back to that. I got one more little one to show you up here. This is a real old piece. I haven't actually ever completed this one. I might get back to it someday. This would have been from the 16th century, which is kind of getting into the Maximilian era. And you can see how high up that actually, the cuff of this actually rides up. That's my elbow right there. So this piece actually rides up, almost acting like a vambrace. And this will be a cased piece when it's finished up. You can see the discoloration and how it has got an anatomical shape to it. Let me see if I can get closer and still say, because I'm actually proud of this piece. But if you look close, you guys can see how it actually has kind of an anatomical shape to it from the top all the way down. You see how it gets narrower at the wrist and it blows up to actually take your forearm muscles so that we can make these things fit. We can make these fit effectively skin tight. Well, I mean, over your skin tight over your arming clothes. But most of the images you see in the wood cuttings and all that other stuff where that armor fits them like a glove, typically it's done in this fashion. This ain't cheap. All right, it just ain't cheap. And if you look at all the fluting that you have to put up and down here to secure a piece like this, and this isn't even halfway fluted yet. I think I got it marked better on the inside. All those little black lines, that's the fluting that I haven't put into this yet because this piece has been work hardened. And what work hardening is that when you're using medium carbon steel and you have to heat it, and you're going to have to heat it. There's no way to do this cold. But as soon as it cools down, you've excited the carbon atoms, and it starts to turn it slowly into spring steel. And once it's spring steel, that's our end goal for all of this stuff, so that it'll take a hit, it'll flex, and it'll pop back out to its original position. But it makes it a bitch to flute. So I'd actually have to normalize that piece and to actually finish the fluting. I might finish it someday. I might not. I don't know. Anyway, Belle, oh my God, already half the show's gone. We haven't even started yet. Questions, comments, concerns, or shall I move on? Is anybody watching? Do you guys care? Is this interesting to you?
Yeah, people are watching and commenting.
All right. Well, go ahead, Belle. What we got? Anything?
All right. Sith Lord, I don't have any clue about armor, but I thought one of the helmets had a face shield you can pull up. Or is that just in video games, LMAO?
Oh, no, man. But virtually all of the helmets have some kind of face shield that you can pull up. The Frog's Mouth helm was and again, I'll show it to you next show. It's a very, very specific single-purpose sport helm. You will use it jousting, and you will not use it anywhere else because you literally can't see, bro. The helmet sits this high up above my head, and my visor slot is up here. All it is a slot, a part where steel isn't. To see out of it, I have to lean my head forward and look up to even see the gap. When I sit straight up and it's tight, more form-fitting around the neck, and it sweeps up with a single edge right in the middle, everything sweeps back, so that if you take a joust hit, lance hit to the helmet, it sweeps off the helmet. But yeah, virtually every other helmet opens up. It either has no visor, such as an archer's helmet, an archer's sallet, or something like that, or it'll open up. Like this one back here, this is actually a Maximilian helm from back in the day, but even this one here, you can see clearly that the visor lifts up. Now, this is a close helm, Maximilian helm. You can see this right down here. We're not doing helmets today. We'll do that next time. But yeah, virtually all of them open. And interestingly, I didn't know this, but until I started doing it and started doing a lot more reading. If you're in a single one-on-one combat, there's effectively no reason you would ever have your visor down. There's no if you cannot protect your face, you should not be doing this. All right, that's it. And you give up so much oxygen. I don't care how many holes we put in this thing. All right, you're breathing carbon dioxide as soon as you slap that down. I know you're an exercise guy, Sith Lord, so you know how much CO2 you expel when you're doing something physical. Combat is physical. And with the extra adrenaline and the fear of death, yeah, dude, all you're breathing is carbon dioxide. Your oxygen level is so low. With your visor down, you got about 90 seconds of any kind of real physical exertion, man. You got about 90 seconds, and then that's it, man. You'll start to see the spots start blacking out, and down you go. So you're going to, more or less, you're going to keep the visor open. The only time you're going to have that visor down is on any kind of forward heavy charge, because you don't know what you're running into, or you do, but you got to be, absorbed for the impact. But as soon as you clear it, man, that visor is coming up. That's effectively all of them. Carry on, Bill.
All right, Sigya fan, would it be possible to make an armor piece that completely protects your friend the neck and that big brain?
Yeah, I can armor anything. It really doesn't matter. My questions are, when do you want it? How much are you willing to pay for it? And what are we defending against? I can defend. I mean, I could armor Eric to the point where there's not a single. Go at him with a titanium baseball bat, man. He's not even going to know what's happening. He won't be able to move, so he's going to be a pillbox at that point. But yeah, man, we can armor anybody against anything. It's just a matter of, there's a lot of specifics. Like, do you want to move? You do want to move? Well, we're gonna have to make some allowances in there. Yeah, it's a game of give and take. So hope that answers the question. Carry on, Bill.
All right, so Mel, love swords.
I am not actually a big fan of swords. I like the old German, like, what are they? The Zai. I can't say that word. The old the German maniacs from the late 15th century. The stormtrooper guys, the Zweihander or whatever. These guys are swinging like 15, 16-pound swords. They're so ungodly, unwieldy. Sith Lord's a big guy. You're going to swing it 3 times and you're smoked, dude. I mean, that's it. You're gassed. But these were the guys that you would send in against spear walls, because the sword itself could shatter spears because it's just so goddamn heavy. But I like real heavy weapons, and my subtle weapon is actually called a lucerne hammer. I got one down here. Let me see if I can get it out without knocking shit down.
Yeah, good luck.
The little one-handed fell. That's actually my weapon of choice right here, and this is called a lucerne hammer. This actually came out in about 15th century, and although it does not look terribly impressive, this is, in my opinion, one of the most effective weapons that's ever seen the battlefield. You can see all the cute little things. Obviously, look, man, this is it's not designed to penetrate. It's designed to grab and crush. Yes, we do have, it is kind of a one-handed short spear. It's got these nice hooks, so if you can, and a pelican hook on the back, so if you can get behind the knee, into the elbow, any part of the armor, you can take them for a ride with that. That thing ain't coming off. And a nice little butt spike on the back, because butt spikes are very, very important. If I had one weapon for my life, what am I going to carry? I'm probably going to carry this. And of course, it's a hammer. It's about 6 feet, so it's just long enough that you can get that absolute whipping crush off the end of it. But you can shorten your weapon real quick. And what I mean by that is this is long out, and you can shorten up real quick with that. So distance was not so critical as if you're carrying a 9-foot or a 12-foot spear. Distance was not so critical with a weapon like this because we can shorten our position so effectively and so fast. And this is just as destructive from 2 feet away as it is from 6 feet away. It's basically the same amount of force. So I've always been a big fan of these as opposed to swords. Thank you, Mel. Bell, carry on, please.
All right, Siggy fan. Love hearing the passion for this in Scott's voice. How much he loves this is coming across 1,000%.
Oh, I fucking adore it, man. You guys, you don't know, man. There is so much science that went into this shit. And I want you to think about this for a minute. We have to guess right now. I have to guess. Modern armorers have to guess. We always guess. Everybody, there's always the experts that say, nope, this is fucking how it was because I have dubbed it the. But you're full of shit, dude. You don't know. All right, you don't know. We do have a lot of extant pieces. These are surviving pieces all the way back from the 13th, 14th, 15th century. But to say that this is because this piece survived, but the 15,000 other pieces that were made like that didn't, that this is the only way it should be done is just ludicrous to even make an assumption like that. I can make any breastplate and I can make it 15 different ways. They will all be as effective as the extant pieces. So to say that there is only one way to do this is that's ego. That is beyond ego. Just because that thing made it doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. And there's so many armors, and it was a very necessary thing back then. So lots of people are going to do it lots of different ways. That's been my argument.
And okay, there are some regions that we don't know what the armor looked like because their steel was poor quality.
Yeah, like
I mean, the surviving pieces that are here now, the steel in their area that they were able to make was very good quality. You don't see those pieces coming out of Japan very often at all.
Their iron was piss poor. Their metal was piss poor. You know why they had to fold their katana blades so many times? Because their steel sucked. It was god awful. That was the only way it could give it any kind of tensile strength. And if you actually look, because I know all these people that have these katanas are, katanas are god. Take a look at the actual wood cuttings. Take a look at the actual illustrations, because you literally see images of samurais bending their swords back into fucking place after a battle because they did not hold their original positions, because they got hit, because they bent. And these guys would literally be sitting there with the tip in the ground and their foot on it, straightening it out. This was shit steel. I'm not afraid of a katana. They keep saying, oh, you got a katana, it'll cut right through you. Fucking go for it, man.
No.
I'll make a breastplate. You get the best thing. And if it doesn't go through me, I get to keep it. How about that? No one's ever taken me up on that. I remember that douchebag at that one Red Fair. This will go through a Pontiac. And I was wearing my whole kit. He's like, this thing will go through a Pontiac. And I'm sitting there going, this ain't a Pontiac, bro. Give it a go. That's all I'm saying, man. It's like, we can go and do it. Anyway, carry on, Bill.
All right, and Braden actually chiming in saying katanas are very easy to bend. It happens all the time at the bamboo cutting comps. And
always.
That's actually, well, and that's with imported steel that is better quality. Now, okay, a good blade, there is going to be quite a bit of flex to it, but it is going to go back to its original shape. Historic katanas did not do that.
And once it bends, anybody who understands metallurgy and physics just a little bit understands that when it heats up. When it heats up, it now has lost its tensile strength in that whatever position it happened to go. It just, I got a Badger blade over there. We'll demo that one, Bell. I'll actually demo it. I'm banging off one of my anvils, and you guys can watch that thing. The difference between properly heat-treated 1090 quality steel versus any katana that you're going to send me, and you're going to see about the big difference. Anyway, all right, Bell, I got bazu bands, I got a greave, I got a leg. Let's do the leg. I haven't done the Italian leg. I haven't showed this up a little bit.
Do the leg.
Now, me personally, when I was growing up through my early career, it was High Gothic. I loved High Gothic. So something like this breastplate right here, which has got a little surface rust, please forgive me. But something like this would have been considered High Gothic. This is not the best piece I've ever made. It's just the one that I got in my shop right now, and it's actually kind of cool. These are called gussets. This was actually brilliant, man. This little piece of metal right here gave you that much more coverage, but that much more distance when you bring your arm across yourself. So the amount of movement that you got out of this, and it's only held in place with a very cleverly shaped plate and a sloppy rivet, so that you can get that much more movement out of your armor and still be fully encased, because this will take every bit of hit that this will take. Not a problem. This particular one is a 3-piece design, meaning that there's a placard, a lame, and then the actual breastplate. This portion up here is called the breastplate. This is just this is just a lame, and this is called a placard. So they're all designed differently. But the kind of cool thing about this, and if I hold it up, you can maybe, if I can get the angle right, you can kind of see the shape of it. The cool thing about this particular design is because we made it in 3 pieces, I didn't have to heat treat or do so much heat treating on it or so much movement, with the exception of down here around the fold. Down here we had to change it. You got to heat the shit out of that, because what you're doing is creating what's called an anticlastic curve, and means that you're taking metal, bending it where it should never ever want to be bent, and maintaining shape with it at the same time. It's a bitch. All right. You're going to have to work up to this. If you just want to grab a map torch from Home Depot, heat up some steel and have a go. You're going to have to work up to that, but you'll get it. Just stick with it. You'll get it. But the kind of cool thing about those is that you could use different types of steel, meaning different weights of steel. Now, this particular one has this particular plate right here is 16 gauge. This is 16 gauge 1050, hardened up to about 40 HRCs. Would it survive a cannonball? Probably. You know what? I'd rather have it than not have it. I'll just kind of leave it there. But we go.
It survived being run over by your truck.
It did survive
on purpose.
Yeah, we got that video. I laid it out and drove my truck over it after I heat treated it to see if it would pop back in position, and it did. So we get another round of applause on that. But we have 16 gauge right here. That's where you're going to absorb most of your shots. If you're a clever fighter, you're going to want to take them to the gut, to the placard, because this is nowhere near your skin. This is where you want to get hit. But we went 16 here, 20 gauge here to lighten it up, because weight's a factor. And the more weight you have on you, the longer the combat goes, the more tired you're going to get. And then we just went 18 up here on the breastplate, because I can protect my chest. So it's no real problem up there. So we went heavy, very light, and moderate. And it's all about it's all about the weight distribution. But because we didn't have to heat treat it so much, and or move it around so much, that the metal maintained its structural integrity. A couple different ways of doing this, and we can get into these on some how-tos if you guys are real curious, meaning dishing versus raising. And raising is always going to be superior, because you're taking more metal and packing it into a smaller area. That's raising. And when you're doing that, you're making it thicker. Dishing, you're taking the metal and you're stretching it out. So anytime you're hitting it from the inside, you're stretching it and you're thinning out the metal. Now, it might be small amounts, but the more you do it and the more shape you put in, then the thinner that metal gets. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We are talking about Italian, because my early days, I wanted to wear the High Gothic shit just because it looks so cool, and I wanted to be cool. As I got older and stopped caring about looking cool, I started caring about utilitarian. I went with Italian. So I got a beautiful set of High Gothic legs over here. We'll show those on the next stream. But this one here, we're going to focus on, it's a very proud piece for me, even though I never finished it up, in Italian leggings. And why I'm picking those, sorry, we can stop that. Why I'm picking those up, Bell. Questions? Go.
We actually don't have any at the moment. People are enthralled by what's going on.
Either enthralled or they don't care. We'll find out.
No, they're enthralled.
Okay, let's enthrall them a little bit more. So, Italian. Now, this is a very, very good example of a traditional Italian leg. And let me see if it'll show up here on the camera at all. I got to go to this frame. So the idea behind this piece is this cop right here sitting right over the middle of my knee. But this is my junk. And I'm sorry to be so bold about this, but it's easier to illustrate it. This is my junk, and this is the actual leg. And you can see where this stops. So here's my waist right across, and you can see where this stops, only how high it gets. Now, what this offers you is incredible mobility. Absolutely incredible mobility, because you're not jamming yourself up at your most flexible point, which is right there at the hip. So anybody who's running fast, moving fast, anything like that, you're going to want that flexibility. Now, the Germans did it a little bit different way in the High Gothic piece, and I'll show you one of those. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about this one because this is actually what I wear. Now, one of the clever things about this particular piece, let's lay this out. I'm going to try to lay it out as well as I can, guys. We haven't really talked about this a whole hell of a lot. One of the clever things about this particular piece, aside from the fact that this one is so incredibly well made, that's right, Belle, I said it, is the flexibility, the actual flexibility of it. So what you're seeing right now, where I was talking earlier about slotted rivets and why I use slotted rivets, is a couple things have to happen here with a leg like this. One, it has to be able to compress. You see how we can compress this thing up and down a little bit? I want you to look at your own leg right now. Look down at your own leg and move it up and down, move it back and forth. And as you're doing that, physics is a reality in armoring. And we cannot have static steel. Because if we have static steel, then as you move your leg up and down, as you start to move your leg like this and start to move your leg like this, you have physical mass that is trying to occupy the same amount of space. But because your leg has flexibility, this also must have flexibility. So as you're running, it's going to stretch out. As you're standing straight, it's going to sit up. And as you coil your knee, the metal has got to go somewhere. So you have to make allowances for this stuff. And the other fun thing about this is that it also has to move a little bit left and right. So you can see that when a person is standing up and his leg is perfectly straight, I know this is not great lighting, guys, I'll work on this. But as your leg is perfectly straight, that you could still do this with your leg. You can move it around in circles as if you were unarmored. And the whole idea behind the armoring is that you can do the exact same thing whether you're wearing armor or not. And this is such an important distinction when it comes to this stuff, and it's something that never gets discussed and that gets left out constantly, is the flexibility and the mobility itself of the armor. Now, this part up here, this is called, this is actually called a vambrace, or no, vambrace, rebrace. I'm sorry, I even lost it. This is called a cuisse, C-U-I-S-E. So this is the part that protects your thigh. If you're ever going to get destroyed, you're going to get destroyed here at the knee or here at the thigh. And you can see how we got the flute patterns in here. These are called flutes. And the whole idea behind the flute pattern is a couple things. One, it's decorative and it's pretty. It makes the armor aesthetically pleasing. But the other thing that it does is that it actually adds structural integrity to the piece. Easy way for me to demonstrate that is for you to pick up a single piece of paper, hold it by the corner, and then just let the other side go. The paper is going to go straight flopping down. Now take that same piece of paper and fold a crease right down the middle of it and hold it by the crease. And that paper's not going anywhere. That's the easiest way that I can describe why we actually put things like fluting into these pieces, is so that we can, it adds a level of structural integrity to the piece. So you got a cuisse, lames, knee cop, more lames, and then our last piece, this is the part that actually clips over onto the greave. And you can see that we put the fluting in each and every piece of this. Now, the other really, really important piece is this right here. It's called a fan, but you get a lot of artistry out of fans, Bell. I love fans, by the way. You can get a lot of. I'm looking at the time because Denver's on. I want to make sure we can talk about mail. Yeah, but the fans get a lot of. It's fun because as armor smiths, it allows us to really turn it into a piece of art. So I didn't do anything very, very excessive on this one, but these little lames that you see up, or the little flutes, sorry, the little fluting pattern that we put up here probably increase the structural integrity of this little fan right here tenfold at least, because this bitch ain't moving. It is not going down. But one of the most difficult places for us to protect as an armor smith is the back of the knee. Back of the knee, inside of the elbows. That is the most difficult portion for us to ever armor, because if we close off the back of the knee, guess what? Your fucking leg doesn't bend anymore. So if you don't mind being the Tin Man, I can case you in steel. But if you actually need to move, then it's kind of tough. So Germans had to do more of a sweeping thing, almost a lame that came all the way around the back of the knee. Italians just said, learn to protect the back of your knee, and this is kind of what came out of it. So I'm a big fan of Italian. I can protect the backs of my knees. Not always. I've got hit there, but sometimes. And, of course, you have the other pieces. This is the other piece, wraps around the back of your thigh. You want to try to protect as much of it as you can from wrapping attacks, but they also have to move. You have to have flexibility here, because as your leg flexes, your thigh flexes and relaxes, you have to make sure that there's some movement up here. And of course, the upper portion of this thing, you can also see that has mobility. So as you bring your leg up, this piece will compress. And as you extend your leg out, this piece will straighten out. Again, the whole idea is keeping as much metal on your body as we possibly can, regardless of the conditions. Bill, questions? Have we got any?
We don't have any.
Perfect.
Braden did drop the comment of Italian. Whoa.
Oh,
He's
you haven't
over
even
by that.
Yeah, you haven't even seen the good stuff yet, man. We got to hang it up over there. All right, one last piece, then we got to go because the Broncos are playing tonight. So the most difficult thing to armor, and the thing that's always been the most difficult thing to armor, is the groin. Now, typically, not always, Bell, but typically, it was mostly men were out on the battle lines and fighting. I'm not saying always. Joan of Arc did exist, but typically 90, you know what? Men were the ones that are out there on the battle lines. Men have groins, and one of the most difficult things for us to possibly protect is the groin. So for the very, very difficult parts to protect, such as seams of the neck, insides of the elbows, backs of the knees, armpits were just death, and the groin, that's where stuff like this started showing up. Now, this has been around long before plate armor showed up, was this, and this is just simply called mail. Now, I don't know how to do mail, but I know somebody who does, and she's about to go big screen, and she's going to explain why this would cover my groin, cover my hips, the most mobile parts of my body, and how it's made, why it's made, and why we wear it, and why it's done what it is. I have no fucking idea. Belle does it, so go ahead and explain it, Belle. Talk about mail.
Okay, so mail has been around since approximately the 9th century in its most common forms. Different regions had their own different styles of mail. The variety that Scott just showed is European based. That one is a 4-in-1 pattern, but that was actually specifically made for him with the idea in mind that, okay, well, it's going to look good and protect the groin while he's around moving. He's also got some voider patches for his ankles as well as his armpits that were crafted by me. Now, mail, again, Scott did mention this earlier, it was primarily used to protect against slashing injuries. European mail was actually either riveted or just straight welded together. Yes, they actually had welding back then. Don't blame the messenger. Budding, which is what you might see most of at today's Ren fairs, that wasn't done by the Europeans. The Europeans had stronger steel, so they could work it, they could form it, they could actually rivet it. The whole purpose behind that is to protect those vulnerable areas from slashing injury. Now, it did offer a little bit of protection from thrusts depending on the weapon. If it was a broad tipped weapon with the padding that would go under the mail, again, this is all worn underneath the armor. With the padding that was under that mail, good luck getting a broad tipped weapon through. Now, a mail is actually the reason they started inventing narrow tipped weapons like rondelles. This is not one, but just to give you an idea, this would penetrate that mail. Arrows, if you got lucky and landed at just the right point, would penetrate that mail. If you're slashing and cutting with a sword, good luck.
No, it's and we've tried. We've done tons of demos. Now, there's the weaves are different. I'll leave that to Belle to explain the difference. The one that I just showed you is a 4-in-1. But they go all the way up to like King's mail, which is like 12 in 1. Is that what it is, Belle? I mean, it's so
12 and 2.
12 and 2.
12 and 2.
It's so grotesque, and how much work it would take. Somebody doing that for real, that was doing either welded or wedge riveted. I prefer flattened wedge riveted. That's what I wear myself. But the amount of work that goes into that is just stupidly ridiculous. So talk about the different types of weaves and why you would wear them, Belle.
Okay, so again, the Europeans were, most people, because of affordability, they did go for 4-in-1. That's a classic European pattern. You will see it everywhere. The other one that is traditionally a Celtic pattern is called a helm weave. It does still have the basic 4-in-1 pattern. However, the ring sizes are a little different. You do have about 6mm rings that are joined together by 4mm rings. That actually, because of the number of contact points with that weave, it's actually a strong weave. Now, again, keep in mind that these are either welded or riveted, so that makes them even stronger. The Japanese, on the other hand, had a different take. They used butted mail. Again, the whole hang on.
Yeah.
So historically, the Japanese would put on a layer of padding, then they would actually put on a layer of armor that was 2 sides of leather with mail in the middle. Now, as each segment of their armor was damaged, being butted mail, it was easier for them to go and have it repaired and just stitched back in really quick. The third type of pattern that you do see a lot at Ren fairs is a Persian weave. There isn't any reliable historical evidence that actually existed. Those patterns are usually based more on the Celtic varieties. So the Celts were actually the ones who started it all.
See, but that's where it gets interesting. And Belle, this is going back to our original premise. What are you arguing against? If we can make it now, it would make sense using traditional manufacturing methods. All I need is an anvil and a hammer. All right, I need a bighorn. But I can effectively make anything. It really doesn't matter. But if you're using traditional methods, and where you're talking about the Persian weave and how there were no real surviving examples of that, if we can make it now, it would make sense that when it really mattered, that they could have made it then. All right, we can't say just because something didn't exist that it never existed. That is pure ego to say that.
Well, and actually, that's why I was saying, okay, and I've done the research. Everything I have researched seems to indicate, and there was a lot of cross travel between the Celtic Isles and Persia.
Yeah, there was.
That's actually everything I have read seems to indicate that the Persian patterns we know today actually came from the Celtic Isles.
And again, I agree with you 100%. But you know how these people are out here.
Oh,
You
I know.
how they are. No, there is nothing. It wasn't in the book. We didn't see it. You know what? You're full of shit. Show me your shop. You make me something and let me critique it. Because
those patterns had to come from somewhere to wind up in my binders for me to teach those bloody patterns.
Thank you.
So
Is
you
all that
explain to me where they came from.
That's all I'm saying. And it's not like they're well known for preserving historical artifacts. All right, they're full of shit. The only piece of Persian armor at all, meaning Middle Eastern, that I have on this thing, that I have on this table right now, is called a bazuband. All right, this was very, very historically accurate. These things have been around forever. Now, this is simply called, that's what this is called, is a bazuband. And all this piece did was cover you from wrist to elbow. All right, that's all that this did, was cover you from wrist to elbow. The whole idea behind this little rondelle on the end of it was another effort to try to protect your elbow, because you need your full mobility on this, but your elbow is vulnerable. Your elbow is, inside of your elbow is always vulnerable. When I'm fighting, that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for the backs of your knees, the seam of your neck, or the inside of your elbow. That's what or the thumb. We've already discussed the thumb. But this is actually a Middle Eastern design that's been around forever. And the reason that it was around forever is because it was the perfect design. And you don't have to improve on something that works. You see the bottom of my elbow? Fuck no, you don't. What you see is hardened steel there. Swing away, baby. I'm going to literally block that sword shot with this thing here, because you're using a one-handed sword. My armor is going to stand up to it, no problem. It's easier to block this way than to actually, so I can keep my weapon clear so that I can kill you with my... I'm sorry. We always get into this shit. I couldn't possibly exist. Fuck you. It's on my arm right now. Are you telling me that this couldn't have existed? That this didn't exist and the Persian weave didn't exist? That's why I've avoided this so long, Belle. But now I don't care what people think about me, so I can say whatever I want.
Now, I will say, okay, the bazuband, if you know anything at all about swords that the Persians would have used, the Persians all the way up to the Hungarians, if you know anything at all about how they fight, they primarily fought from horseback.
Yes,
okay?
Which means
that's where the yataghan and the kalish came in. Okay, those were literally weapons designed to be used on horseback. The bazuband, if you're on horseback and you've got your hand holding the reins, the hand is a very hard target to hit. Okay? That bazuband, if somebody is swinging at your arm to try and take you out, just lift your arm and boom, you've got protection.
Yes, and the Italians took it. The Italians even based. They actually based. It was called. It was a composite piece that actually went over the elbow, covered up, and effectively acted like a shield. Now, I have one over there because I have my full Italian suit, and I'll show you guys if you really, really care. You know what? How about this? You got to put it in the comments. If you want to see Scott in his full suit of Italian armor, you got to put it in the comments. It's a bitch.
We've already got one vote from Sith Lord. He wants to see you in full armor.
Yeah,
so.
you gotta. I need more than that, man. This stuff is a bitch to put on and off. But we have, they have extra composite pieces or attachment pieces. That's the shoulder, that's the arm, that's the everything. Italians are real big on protecting that left side. We don't carry shields. When you're wearing full armor, you're not carrying a shield because you fucking are a shield. So. But it's always good to have a little bit more metal up there. And, they all layered onto this stuff. Anyway, Bill, Broncos are coming up. I'm going to go watch the game. Did you guys enjoy this? Do you want us to carry on, or do you just want to talk about the state of crypto? We'll do anything that you want. But obviously, we have a passion about armor. We haven't even started yet. We could literally do 2 years of shows on this.
Sofa Ninja chiming in saying, okay, I want to see you wear the full armor. Sigya fan, full armor in exclamation points.
You got to tip
And
Bell a
yeah,
dollar. How about that? Fuck you. We
Sigya
haven't.
fan special standalone episode.
Mhm. Well,
So
what do
yeah,
they
I mean,
want? Do they? How about this? Do you want the Gothic suit? Do you want the
you know what?
Italian suit, or do you want the suit that I would actually wear to fight in? Because it seems like these are very important. That could be 3 shows right there,
You,
Bell.
you know what? Why don't we put up a poll on X asking that very question? I can do that within the next 10 minutes and
Yeah,
we'll
do
let it
that.
run for a week. And yeah.
Or the Hussar armor. I actually have a fully functional suit of Hussar armor. If you guys would leak that. If anybody's ever heard of the Polish Hussars.
Oh, Sofa Ninja hit us with a 99-cent super chat.
There we go. Look at there. We got something. We haven't had a tip for a long time. If you guys would like to see the Polish Hussar suit, it doesn't quite fit me, but it's not terrible. I'll just leave it there. It's not terrible. This was the ultimate cavalry armor. And if you want to have a little historical reference behind this, just Google the Winged Hussars, Winged, the Winged Hussars, because I have a fully functional suit of Winged Hussars that I built for somebody that they never paid me for, so it's mine now. I actually got the pauldrons right over there, Belle. They're on the bottom of the thing.
Do.
Yeah.
You had some repair work to do on them.
Yeah. But we'll put the breastplate on and the bazubands and all that. That was interesting because the Winged Hussars actually wore bazubands. There's got to be something there, Belle. It means that piece of armor made it from the 11th century or the 12th century all the way to the 16th century. 400 years. That single piece of armor saw every field of battle. Tells me that was a well-designed piece of armor.
Well, and you can also tell because of the area that came from. Okay, so you've got Italy, Persia, up into Hungary and Romania.
Yep.
You've got Germany, which again, no shock there. The English made some armor, but it wasn't as striking. And then you've got Japanese. Those are the major areas where they produce steel.
Yep, and if I got a full suit of samurai armor over there, I could put that on as well. I don't like it. It's not cultural appropriation. It's just that wasn't my jam. My jam is I want to encase myself in steel and just give you the finger, man. That's yes, Belle.
Scott acquired the samurai armor as the result of a trade.
Yeah,
so
I don't
judge him for that.
I don't make it. But I traded a European set for the Japanese set because I've never had one. I wanted to see what it was like. Surprisingly mobile. I mean, Belle, that was the whole thing. Surprisingly mobile, and the chest is very well protected. Everything else is plated with seams. It was clearly designed to protect against slashing and thrusting, but not crushing. Now, plate armor, European plate armor, is designed to be protect you against crushing. That's the pole arms, heavy axes, heavy hammers, war hammers, lucerne hammers. What are you defending against? That was kind of the whole thing. So anyway, Belle, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Maybe Jason can cut this up into some bits and pieces. If you guys actually want to see how to make this, we will literally do how-to videos. I will start with a flat piece of plate steel, and we will turn it into a cased greave if you want to see how I do it. I'm not saying it's the only way to do it. I'm saying that's how I do it. And it fits, and it will stand up to damage. That seems to be, I think that's where the bar should be. Will it take a hit? My shit will take hits, all right, all day, man, because I've done it. And I will even show you some of my pieces that didn't quite take the hits the way they should have. But the guy walked away. He walked away. So if he lived. I think that should be the bar. Did he live? Yes. Well, fuck yeah, it was a good piece of armor. That's kind of funny. Anyway, appreciate it, guys. We're going to be back live tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. I still got armor up here, Belle. We haven't even touched on it yet. I got some really, really good pieces up here, and we haven't even touched on it. But we'll see which way we go tomorrow. I'll tell you what, Podcast Discord, Podcast X, Bella, Chaos Coordinator, Bella the Prod on X. Let us know. All right, and we will model some of these pieces. We'll hit some of these pieces. We can do whatever you want. I had the Bazoo bands. I actually dropped an anvil on top of them and made a little video on that. It got 25,000 views on X. We are on. We've never had 25,000 views on anything. But I dropped an anvil on it, and it survived. It was fine. It was fine, Bell. I again think that's a bar. Anyway, Bell, please talk us up. Take us out. Denver Broncos are going to defeat the Las Vegas Raiders. I hope so. 8-2. We'll find out. Bell, get us out of here.
All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who joined us this evening, we cannot say thank you guys enough. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys and the comments and questions you send our way. Now, with that being said, we are going to be back on tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. In between now and tomorrow, if you guys have any other comments, questions, or concerns, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to either Scott or myself, Scott@thepodcast.com or Bella@thepodcast.com, and we'll get those answered for you. Again, we can't thank you enough, guys, and we'll see you next time. That's very cool.